Chelsea Blue.
Hello there, I'm Jonathan, this is Gary, and we're Chelsea Blue, but we're talking about England, and at this particular moment we're talking about England's 2-1 victory with two fantastic Harry Kane goals versus Congo. What do you think of that, Gary?
Yeah, doesn't Harry Kane remind you a lot at times of Roy of the Rovers? He really does. I mean, I think to me of this sort of, I mean, partly it's obviously his look a bit. He's got that sort of wonderful old-fashioned type of football
He hasn't got the shock of blonde hair, though, has he?
No, not quite. But he's still got the sort of the dynamic side,
the swagger.
Yeah,
and the fact that he comes up with great goals to rescue the situation.
Yes, well, that's exactly what that's the Roy of the Rovers, isn't it? All the time. It's often it was Harry Kane against Congo or Harry Kane against Panama.
He took those two goals very well, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the first of the two was, that was actually a good cross as well for him. The ball that came in was a good head. It was a great header, but it's the first time we put a cross in that was really dangerous.
Bellingham cross, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Bellingham. Yeah. But it was well constructed and beautifully finished. And the second winning goal.
We did play a lot better in the second half after the two substitutes came on.
Yeah,
60 minutes, mainly because Madueke was dreadful. I mean, what I loved about watching Madueke was it's exactly how he played for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And that's why we couldn't stand him playing, because of his inability. Well, he got to the byline once, I think, and crossed it and looked dangerous. Otherwise, his inability to take anybody on, constantly to come inside and then pass it sideways, just driving me absolutely mad. I was just swearing at the screen.
Yes, but I also think Tuchel's going through that because he's obviously looking at his options of wingers and he switches them around because often the two he starts with don't take anybody on at all, and so it's flat. So he's screaming at them, and then he changes them, and usually then you get the other subs.
It was interesting, wasn't it, that Anthony Gordon, who'd been dreadful in the game before against Ghana as a winger, then came on and actually played a lot better and set up the second goal for Kane.
Maybe some of them, when they come off the bench, they've got more to prove, and they suddenly say, "Oh, better run a bit and put a couple of crosses in." So
and Saka, even though I don't think he beat his man outside too often, nonetheless still look much more solid than Madueke.
Yeah, and also
he constantly gives the ball away, and then what you don't want to be doing is giving the ball away in that kind of situation.
No, absolutely
because then they just boot the ball up the pitch and run after it. Then we've all got our hearts in our mouths. I felt actually just like hiding behind the sofa as if I was watching Dr.
Yeah, I mean it's classic. I mean, and also our defence is, to put it politely, not very good.
Yes.
And it's always runs a risk of. I mean, Congo had decent chances in that game, apart from, the goal, which was, I don't know who to blame in that goal. It was a mixture of everybody on that side of the pitch making mistakes.
Pickford in particular was very culpable.
Well, Pickford, yes.
In at his near post. There really wasn't many. There weren't many other places that bloke could hit the ball.
No, well, actually,
because he was so wide,
Yes, I thought Joe Hart's comments were quite interesting because he obviously said, if you look at it, but when the ball was going to the goal scorer, clearly Pickford is expecting the ball to go across him, which would be normally where you would expect it. So he's already got his weight on the other foot.
Yes.
Now, because the winger couldn't, maybe he's too one-footed and he couldn't do that, so he ended up shooting the near post, which of course surprised everybody. Yes. And Pickford couldn't get his weight down in time.
They kept going on about how he was a second division player, didn't they?
Yeah.
For the team he played for. But he seemed a great handful, the winger. And of course, they had Wissa as well, who's a very decent player. Who
Wissa
hit the post, had the chance, didn't he?
Exactly. And also, I think, our problems, clearly, we know at the right back without Reece or even the other option. I mean, Spencer's not a right back.
No.
Because
there was nobody closing down or marking the winger at all when he got the ball. It was just empty space he had.
And then, of course, in the first half, they were catching us very easily on the break. And, half chances here and this dangerous moves. And we were stutteringly slow.
We were very poor, weren't we, in the first? The first 60 minutes, it was like, I don't know what we were watching. I mean, I just was...
I don't know whether they expected that they were where they were up at the right level at the start of the game, or thinking this could be a relatively easy game for us. I don't know, but it felt like they weren't really at their top level, but thinking they could get away with it.
Capable, rather like Chelsea, of starting off quickly or starting off well. It's so rare in the season we saw Chelsea ever start off.
No, very few games.
They were always very slow. In the same way, you think, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
Once we
something you have
started
to
well,
roll
we
through the
won.
cogs, get the cogs working, well,
Yeah,
the cogs
yeah.
rolling. But
I think Tuchel is great to watch his face as the game goes on,
yes, yes,
and I mean, not just the anger, but it's the sheer frustration and well, combination with anger as well, as they're not doing clearly what he's asked them to do. Um, and it's happened in every game so far. So I think, and he's obviously switched it around and done well with the substitutions, which is really why he's there. He's because his game management is always has always been generally very good. Whereas Southgate's wasn't, but his is better. So, but you can't keep relying on firstly game management, secondly Harry Kane every week, every game.
yes. What would happen
And,
if Kane got injured? That doesn't bear
well,
analysis,
God
does it?
knows, God, you got to help us with that, with anything. But I thought,
We,
the
we,
second
we
half
did
performance,
rescue the second half as well by playing Rice at fullback, which I don't think should happen again. Just to carry on with the players in the first half,
yes,
Rashford was suddenly on another planet. He just kept hitting
no,
these huge 40 yards past the goal
yes,
centres. You're
yeah.
just
I mean,
thinking, what is
but there was
going on in
no.
his head?
Everybody seemed in the first half completely didn't like the goal had been moved to different parts of the pitch and they didn't know where it was. But they certainly weren't connecting with the goal where they should have done. And it was a combination of them firstly being slow, the midfield, I thought also not really being strong enough and
Well,
not winning.
Anderson didn't have a very good game at all.
No,
And the game
no,
before, he was good against Ghana. He was everywhere. But I kept
yeah,
thinking, where is he? He hasn't got the ball. He hasn't made any
no,
tackles. I think
there
he was
wasn't
just
anything. And of course,
walking in
then
treacle.
the defense was not good as we were moving one side and the other, shuffling across all the time. And they were getting caught but out of position. So the combination of all three of those things meant the first half was very poor. Second half, there was obviously a chat in the dressing room or rant in the dressing room, and it was better. But
But
even
even
then,
then, it was even better once again after the drinks break, wasn't it?
yes.
These drinks breaks we seem to
Well,
have
the
got rather good at
coaches come
dealing.
on and have a go, don't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
Tuchel
suddenly,
gets more and more annoyed and antagonistic about the whole
yes,
process and shouts at
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. I mean, I think he's clearly frustrated because they're not playing the way he wants them to play. But he's also probably looking at it and thinking that to some extent they're limited in the sense that the wingers will not take on a man more than two out of every five times they might look at it, but most of the times they don't. And he wants them to take him on regularly, which they should be. Mexico are not a great team, and I know they've done very well at the Azteca, but they're not a great team. So,
I
you know,
watched them against Ecuador the other day, and
I saw a bit of that. But
they boo the opposition every time they get the ball.
yeah,
I mean, the
well,
din is enormous.
yeah, that's one. But I mean, we have to be able to, you hope, rise above that and
Absolutely.
play football the way that we can play. If we do that, we'll win. If we get intimidated at all, then I think that could be a problem.
The
It's not only that;
Raul
it's
Jimenez is their great player as well for them, who's obviously just no longer carrying on at. He's gone back to Wolves, I think. Jimenez from Fulham.
I think has he gone back to Wolves?
Yeah,
Has he?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. But they're. I think what they'll do, presumably, you have to think, is they'll come and they'll be clearly able to outrun us in terms of the um, just the level, the oxygen levels in the air. They're used to it more than we will be. So we have to time our any runs very carefully. We don't run out of puff too quickly. That's the important thing, I think. But yeah, I would be surprised if let's put it this way. I'd be surprised if it's not a positive result.